Check, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1.
Under twat.
You messed up my Austin Creed clap.
I didn't mean to.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of OverBOTCH. That's right. It is me and the Plexomatic Giant over here, and I am the Drama King Matt. See what I did
Almost.
there? For those who are watching on video, can you see the little thing with that? No, I'm cute. I know. No. So today we're back. We are back with the two of the gang here, and we are going to kind of break down a little bit of season 1 is past of Overwatch 2, the big launch. Just kind of a little bit of season in review, just our kind of thoughts on the ending of the season, things that were good, things that could be better, and how that's transferred into, although admittedly it's only 24 hours old, some of the things we've seen coming out of season 2, whether it's the changes, whether it's the new hero, the new map, and things that have kind of shifted already from season 1. But without further ado, Plex, how are you today, first of all?
Yeah, not too bad. Just enjoying the cold weather we've got right now, but I'll be all
Yeah,
right.
you get to live like we live over here now. Yeah, this is like how you're starting to feel like right now is how we live like 4 or 5 months out of the year.
Well, to be fair, Richard's got it worse living in
He's
Canada, hasn't he? So
probably weirdly it depends because like even though I'm south of him technically, like weather is weird. Like it's always weird. Like my brother, I live in Chicago. My brother lives in Denver. And Denver it generally can be colder or whatever, but you forget that sometimes because it is near the mountains, right? Near the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks of skiing and all this stuff with Denver. But like Denver is south of Chicago. And it's always so I always think I'm like, oh, you go in this big like upward angle to Denver, go north. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like it's a southward, it's not very far south, but it is south. So like a lot of the time outside of winter months, they're a lot warmer than we are in like spring and fall and stuff like that. It'll be like 30s here in the fall, and it'll be like 50s or 60s in Denver. It's kind of crazy.
Weird American geography, ladies and gentlemen.
Weather, folks, science is absolutely wild. But no, so Overwatch 2, man. Overwatch 2 had its first season. We have just launched into season 2. We were recording this on Wednesday. So literally yesterday, season 2 dropped. And it has been interesting. So I guess I'll just jump in. Like, what were your takeaways or kind of overarching thoughts of season 1 of Overwatch 2?
So for me, it was always going to be like a transition phase. I mean, I always believed that season 1 was going to be like the beta of how they do the seasons going forward. So we've seen how they put Kiriko on the battle pass, for example, and how that's changed. We'll get to that later on. So it's a case of this is going to be the figuring out phase for season 1. So now in season 2, we are now seeing all the feedback and everything else come into play. I think we're going to see some healthier changes. Whether or not they'll be changed again, we'll wait for season 3.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's one thing I think that gets lost in the sauce a little bit is the idea like, and I think they've kind of dropped it from all the branding, but I remember when the launch trailer and everything came out, like 4 or 5 months ago, whatever, when it had the October 4th debut, right? It's that branding still had Overwatch 2 early access because this is still, in theory, not considered like the full on. That's not happening in theory. The game is not fully shipped, released, done in its form until what we assume is the PvE release, and we kind of have a full-fledged, multifaceted game outside of just the regular, quick play comp arcade system. So we're still kind of in early access. They wanted to get something into players' hands, which I get. So I do agree. I think it's going to be it is going to be a feeling out process, and this is their. I'm trying to think. I am not a huge like historian of like Blizzard Activision, but they've been like the kings of ship game, right? Like every year you ship a game, Call of Duty and stuff like they ship a full game. Their live service is generally, they have online games, but live service free to play is not their snafu.
I think
this is going to be new for them.
Like I say, for what I remember, I think Overwatch 2 is the first time they've ventured this.
I was going to say, I think they haven't done that like with StarCraft or is Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm. I don't think are those free to play?
Those were free to play, yes.
Okay,
But
so
I'm
they
not
have done it.
sure in what sort of way, because
Sure.
I believe they're done by separate teams as well, because I know that
Well, of
Overwatch is
course.
Team 4.
Yes. No, of
So,
course there's different development teams. Absolutely.
yeah. I mean,
But
I've always say that I felt that the Overwatch team have done their best to try and look after Overwatch. I mean, everyone has their own different opinions, don't get me wrong, but at least I respect the fact they're making an effort. And I think we're going to see that slowly but surely through season 2.
true. And like, I'm always trying to find the balance because yes, obviously in some of the you can if you can't tell we're kind of leading to there is like with any and if you look on any video game media right now, especially online, the vitriol from certain communities can be intense. I always try to find. I know this doesn't get a lot of clicks, but I try to find the balance as much as possible because I think simply like kneeling down and bowing your hands to a developer
Mm.
is not fruitful, and just being like they'll get it, it'll be fine. I don't think that helps anything. Nothing gets
No.
nothing gets pushed forward. But when a color is misaligned or a pixel is off or there's a bug in a game and everyone goes trash game, I don't know what are they doing. They should all be fired and burned on pitchforks. It's like holy crap.
Yeah. The pitchfork walking torches mob.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, video audio listeners, you've just missed a treat.
Yeah. I was just swinging wildly. I punched a baby. You missed all of it. But
Matt also
no,
remembered he was a pro wrestler.
that's right. So I guess we'll try to sandwich this really quick. We'll kind of I'm going to do a quick sandwich recap, and I want you to do the same too because I know you're very even keeled as well. But like I want you to, but I do want you to try sandwich approach this with me. Something we're going to do with things we liked about it. Give me a stern criticism, something you really think needs to be addressed that maybe hasn't, and then we'll finish up with some of our favorite parts of the season. I'll go first on this one. So I do think that a lot of people are going to disagree with this because I know there are other ones out there that probably get better value, but I do think but out of the gate, the battle pass, the 80 level battle pass, considering where we've seen some of the other cosmetics and where we've seen cosmetics and stuff in the gaming industry, for the $10, the 1,000 in-game currency, which equates to about $10 US, the 80, you get I think is a pretty good value for what you get. I think you get jumping right into the economy and all that stuff. Because we knew that was going to come up. I think you get every 10 levels, you get 8 skins, 8 full-on skins that are usually either epic or legendary. And then in between emotes, voice lines, the souvenirs, I think are a little superfluous. But they're fun. It's nice that they're universal. So it's not like an emote where it's like only this character has it. So I think over the course of 80 levels, the big draw being the skins, but then the extras. I like the nameplates are fun too. That's a fun little extra, just small customization thing. And the mythic skins are cool. Although I have preached this on stream a lot. I want there to be more, just a couple extra tiers of customization for those mythic skins, but they are very cool. And I'm very happy to see that the mythic is a battle pass reward. Remember that we did that episode. It could still happen, but would you pay $40 for a mythic skin? That was the survey, the really flawed survey that Richard broke down.
I was gonna say.
I'm really happy to see though that seems to be. I like that as a ultimate battle pass reward, and so it's not any extra money and all that stuff. So like I like that a lot. And then but on the flip side of that, which is why I went with that first, I still think, and I talked about this on my stream as well, the skin prices. I'm trying to find a balance here because I think we have an entire community who got every skin for free in Overwatch 1. I get it. It is jarring when all of a sudden we're looking for money. But this is the way the world works. Everyone's like, there's nothing out there that's $20. And I'm like, go look at CSGO, go look at Valorant, go look at some of the stuff in Fortnite.
Yeah.
That said, though, So, like, I'm not saying it's outrageous, but I do think, generally speaking, especially some of the skins and the skin bundles trend too high. You're not going to get them for $5. I'm sorry, folks. You're not going to get them for $7 or $8 for a full on skin pack. It's not going to happen. That is not the market today. I want it to be. I do too. I do. It's just not going to happen. But I do think a lot of these $20, $22, 2,200 coins, 2,000 coins, sometimes 25. I'm like, for something that's like a skin, an emote, and like a spray is like, it's just a little. And some of these skins are not like epic level skin. They're recolors with a little extra embellishment and stuff like that. So that's one of my bigger gripes. As well as I do think, and we can get into this a little bit, the ranking system, while initially I was like, oh, cool concept, the 7 wins, 20 losses, I'm not sure I'm loving it. And it's hard to keep track of. The win, they tell you your wins. So if you win, it has a little tracker, but I'm like, where am I in my 20 losses? I don't like, it doesn't keep track of those. Or I wish, like, without queuing into a game and winning a game, I wish I could go into my career profile and see, like, all right, I'm on win 7 or 4 out of 7 on my wherever I am in the standings right now, right? Like, I've got 3 more wins to the next change, or I've got 6 more losses until the next change. I wish you could keep track of that in your browser, in your game browser somewhere, some way, somehow.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean there.
Yeah. That's one of my bigger gripes with the ranked. I mean, matchmaking's borked and everything like that. I know. I think that'll smooth out as the population runs in. But yeah, I don't know if I like that system of progress.
Okay, so just take that for a moment before I get to my points. So I actually do know a similar system because that's the ranks they use in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, where you get 3 wins, you go up a tier, and then it doesn't really keep track of how many losses you need to drop down a tier, but you never fall out of a bracket. So, for example, if I'm in gold 3, I will not go any lower than gold 1. So I will never drop down to silver. So
really,
yeah,
even if you lose every game,
you'll never drop below your current tier, if that makes sense. So for what you're saying, because I've not touched rank yet, I'm literally waiting until like season 3 to sort of get a feel for the game already, and then I'll give it a shot. But from what you're describing, it does sound like that system where 3. So in Master Duel, it's 3 wins consecutively, you go up a tier. If you lose, your progress stops.
And it kind of resets. So if you win 2 and then lose, you go back to like having to win 3 in a row again.
No. So if I'm in gold 1, I want to get to gold 2. I need 3 wins consecutively. But
right.
If I lose 1 game, you stop on the 2. If that makes sense. So you go 1, 2 wins, lose, you stay on the 2, you still need that 1. But as you lose more, you drop your progress down a little bit further. And then after 3 defeats in a row, you drop down a tier. I'm probably explaining this very badly without the information in front of me, but
you drop down like a tier of within that same rank, like so gold 3 to gold 2 or whatever, or
exactly,
whichever way. But that's interesting that you never drop out of your rank. That is very coddling is the word I want to think is like the idea of like, because I'm like, if you lost like 30, 40 games in a row, you should drop a rank.
I would say I've not been at that point yet, but I believe the reason I did it was because there were people deliberately trying to de-rank themselves. So like they were trying to get, because with Master Duel, every time you go up, you get extra currency. So like you go from tier 1 to tier 2, you get 100 gems. Go up to a
so people were trying to drop a rank and then rank back up, drop a rank, then rank back up.
Yeah.
And keep getting currency.
So you only get it once per season. So you can't just go between 1 and 2 and get the 100 gems. But then when you go from, say, gold to platinum, you get 200 gems.
Right.
So my guess that they implemented that system to try and prevent people deliberately de-ranking to try and gain more rewards.
Well, that's not it. Right. Maybe. But in an
But like
Overwatch,
I said,
that's
I
not
don't
an
know if
issue, though.
Overwatch 2 has a
Yeah.
similar system. Obviously, people in the comments let us know.
No, 100%. You drop full
Mm,
metal ranks. Like you can
yeah.
go
Right.
from silver to
So,
bronze and all that stuff.
one positive, one negative. Here we go from
Yeah,
the world's most balanced idiots. So, for me, as a console player, the game is very well optimized. It's like no frame rate drops on my because I play on PS4. Frame rates almost smooth as silk. It's a case of I feel like it's been very well optimized. Because you see, like you get a PC port to console, and it's half baked. Probably the most polite way to put it.
sure.
But it looks like they took their time to make sure it worked and is very well optimized. So I am grateful for that. So graphically, it looks gorgeous. There's the only major issue I've noticed is that they haven't really changed the feel of the game going from 6v6 to 5v5. Obviously, with the single tank, it's a case of you really do need to be on your game when you're the tank player. But it's a case of a lot of my experiences have kind of been almost the same as Overwatch 1, in that one player goes down, it can often snowball, things like that. So it's a case of the feel of the game, even on the new maps. It's like Parisio and all the rest of them. It just feels like Overwatch 1 still, which is very weird because you know it's a new game, and yet it still feels the same, if that makes sense.
That's interesting.
Because I've always said on my own personal streams that I always look for the feel of a game. It's like how it feels to play. It's one of those things where I can't really describe it. It's almost like that it factor with someone who's an actor, that kind of thing.
Sure.
It's something you can't put your finger on, but you know it's there. And it's a case of when I play Overwatch 2, it just feels too much like Overwatch 1 at times. When you know that it's basically a brand new product. It's meant to be a brand new experience.
Sure.
But that's just
So
me.
yeah, I get that. So it's funny because that was going to be actually that was going to be my final sandwich point. Is I think it feels totally different. Um, and but I guess it's not like, and this is what we've talked about for months and months and months, and even, God, even years. The branding of it as Overwatch 2 was probably a little bit of a fool's errand
Mm.
from Blizzard, just because now you've had people arguing about this for months now, like this isn't Overwatch 2, this is just an update, because the core of the game did not change, nobody ever said it was going to, but how it plays way different. I mean, without
Mm.
the two things like two shields, with less CC support is really tough. And
Yep.
it just got tougher as we'll talk about in the patch notes. But it's you have to take care of yourself and you have to make plays, and you can't just stand behind a tank and pocket a tank and just walk around the battlefield and the map, because and you just live behind four different shields and a big tank, two tanks.
Mm.
So it's a lot. The fights are a lot more scrappy, but yeah, I mean the same essential strategies kind of apply. And you're right, the snow fights can snowball in the same way. People alt dump and come in and they plow through fights and everything like that. Yeah, I think so. The differences are not on the surface level. It's much more on the strategical mechanical level. It feels
Yeah.
totally different. I like but I like it. I do think overall that I think most of the community, there are
Mm.
still some very vocal people otherwise, but
Yeah.
I think the change to 5v5, that's my big it's a huge change, but I do think overall it is very, very
Yeah.
beneficial.
I mean, I should point out, I'm not saying it's a bad experience. Far from it. It's actually a really nice experience. It's just still feels like Overwatch 1 a bit too much, so to speak.
What would you
Whereas
want different?
you would expect, like in my experience, like in Overwatch 1, it's a case of you look at quick play, for example. But whenever a player goes down, everyone's like, they'll literally just start a feeding frenzy or go Bastion or something like that. It's like panic and all the rest of it. It's we still got that in Overwatch 2. I mean, like I said, I've not touched ranked, so I don't know what that's going to be like.
Well,
So
you're talking about behavior. You can't. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the developers can't change behavior. That's just
yeah.
the player population being
From
like, "Yeah, I need to
this
do
is my
this."
experience, obviously, but
Yeah,
it's a case of I've always advocated for a better tutorial system in these kinds of
mm,
games. I just so I guess this is kind of another sandwich point, but it's a case of I wish they had a better tutorial system. It's
I
like
agree.
because the original in Overwatch 1 was basically here's Soldier 76, this is what he does. Okay, you're good to go.
Yep.
I would
You're
love for them
yeah. You're
to
basically
teach.
forced to go into the training ground with everybody and just like try to study abilities and then maybe play bot like, but they don't even tell you all that stuff. You're right. I agree
No,
with that.
no, it's a case of you'd want them to go, okay, this is a payload. This is what you do with it. This is a tank hero. This is your role within the team kind of thing.
Yep.
And ironically, with Blizzard having done World of Warcraft for so long, you'd think they'd actually be able to sort of take things like that. Because I remember playing WoW and you'd have the tank, the off tank, the support, or the crowd control, DPS, that sort of thing. So I just wish they had put something that would actually teach the game, not like the nuances like when to contest and things like that,
No, no, no.
but still the
But sometimes, literally, to new players who maybe haven't played a MOBA style game and are coming from, something like a CS:GO or Call of Duty or whatever
mm,
like that, and just like, hey, like you said, to put you into a map and like this is a payload. You need to be go walk up to the payload and you'll see it start to move.
yeah,
No, and here's an enemy player. Boom, and they spawn in, and like if they're on the cart will stop
yeah.
moving if the cart is contested. Here,
Right.
this is a control, but yeah, like, I know it's 101, but man,
I'd
for
say
new players, it would be so clutch.
if you think about it, a lot of single player games like I'm not sure about God of War Ragnarok, but I know that there's the Call of Duty games is another example that they will have that opening mission will
Yeah.
be a
Yes.
tutorial like
Yes.
that sort of thing. Just give me something like that.
Yeah, and I know Overwatch has always been mainly like again, they haven't had a big like dude, I just started playing God of War games. So like I'm playing God of War 2018. You're right. The opening 5 minutes or even though this is a game 10 years into a franchise or whatever, the opening 5 minutes of the game is hey, use triangle to throw your axe. You can recall it by pressing it again.
Mm,
Target with L2. Use your ability with by holding these two buttons and stuff like that
yeah,
even though millions of people have played the games, it's the new we talked about the new user experience and everything. And I like the like limiting heroes and letting people unlock ranked and everything. Nice little things. But yeah, but literally, like, how do you play the game other than click this, click this, click this? Okay, you're done.
yeah.
I
I
agree with
say
you. I
it's
100%
also the
agree.
case of obviously Overwatch is a team based game. So if you've got
Yes.
players trickling in left, right, and center, it's like you're basically on the if your team's together, you're basically getting one constant team fight. If
Hmm.
your team's not, you're just basically feeding into the enemy team like moth to a flame.
Yeah, and again, if people coming over from a lot of these other games, which are battle royales and stuff like that, so even though they understand that there's an objective or whatever, like, oh well, somebody will do the objectives. I'm just going to go and try to get kills, get picks, get
Yeah,
whatever. You know what I mean? And we're just like, if you can enforce, like, hey, everybody need this game works based on teamwork, if it would, I agree with you, man. That's a really good point. Explain the
yeah.
roles, like
It's like
tank.
the
Your job is to kind of lead the fight. DPS's job is do damage, get kills. Heals is to
I
make
say
plays, not just heal or
if you
whatever.
think, like I say, the number of times I've been in games on Sombra, I want to go up and farm my EMP, and yet I'm having to babysit the payload because nobody else is doing it
No,
as well.
oh, I have noticed in Overwatch too. Yeah, there is a lot more of people not understanding, especially who should be on the payload. Like, I'll go in as like a tank, and like we'll win a team fight. We'll get control of the payload or whatever on a hybrid map, and then like I'm as a tank, I push forward because I'm kind of trying to push the fight forward, and I'm the biggest
Yeah,
guy. And then all of a sudden, everyone's around me, and I look back, and I'm like, where's the fucking payload? Like, there's not
yeah,
one person who said no. Everybody's just bipping and bopping around. It is. I've noticed it a lot more with a lot of new players, but yeah, I
yeah.
think that would be a great, a little bit more of a robust tutorial would be a great addition for sure.
Team 4, get on it.
Yes, that would be a big ask, 110%. Um, but with that, let's talk a little bit about. Let me bring it up. Let me share my screen. Let's talk about season 2. Again, we are recording this on Wednesday. It launched on Tuesday, but people have had a little bit of a chance to try out our new hero. There's a new map. Some things happened in ranked as well. I'll give a few thoughts on that. It's interesting. But you, before we started, said you had some thoughts on our new hero, Ramatra. I want to hear your initial thoughts.
So remember what I said earlier about the feel of the game?
Mhm.
Well, Ramatra changes everything. He is so much fun to play with. It's like I've not unlocked him yet, obviously, because obviously I didn't pay for the battle pass at this point. I'm gonna work it up, but I've had him a little bit in the practice range. His weapon is very different to what I was expecting.
His primary fire, like
yeah,
okay,
it's like that staff. I did
Yep.
not expect it to have an ammo count of 100.
Yeah, right.
So they didn't really fully explain that, but the way he plays in a game, my god, he is so much fun. It's like I was playing games last night where I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to be playing with a Ramatra guaranteed. Which support do I want to play as? Because I do the flex queue challenges, obviously. I've been playing Ana with him, and nano boosted Ramatra, run for the hills. It is honestly one of the most fun things to do I've ever had in Overwatch.
Sure.
It's just nano boost Ramatra and just send him in.
Like on his ultimate, or just like
Just in
even just
general.
as is. Yeah.
My only real gripe with Ramatra is I was excited for a stance switcher, but the fact that it's on a cooldown and it sort of automatically triggers him back, that's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah, that's for sure. He is super fun. I think he is super fun. And it's like, while it's funny because we all looked at his kit and we're like, everybody's like, dude, he's gonna be busted. Holy crap. He's not. I don't think he is. And I think he's punishable for sure. Like if you even in his ultimate and everything like that, which isn't the strongest thing in the game, you just got to avoid him. If you can get away from him and hit some long range, you can punish him. Like, especially if someone is overconfident with that ultimate and are just like walking down mid with the big ball of goo, energy around him or whatever. Dude, you get a couple widow headshots on him and he's down. Like he's like, so if you stay back, some sojourn shots, some long distance stuff, like an Ana, like a sojourn, all that stuff. He is punishable, but
Yeah.
dude, sniper tank, no fall off damage. Now, I mean, there's not going to
be scary.
Yeah, in a way, I'm like, now it's like, if your tracking is good, like your Zarya tracking, like you're going to be good with it because, like, and now a tank's job is to be a little bit more forthcoming. Obviously, be at the front of the pack, front of the fight. But if you either spawn late or so you're behind everybody, or like you're the first one into the fight, you can take your fights earlier just because, like, mess around with it in a game or in the practice range. Yeah, you can stand all the way across the map, and as long as you give that little bit of travel time on your staff, you're hitting the full damage the entire time. So if you can just track, like, he could be good against aerial. Not only his ability that pulls aerial heroes down.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's that sort of flux sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not as once somebody's in it, it's decently effective with the slow and the pull. The damage is very mild, but also the what's like the skybox on it is not super high.
Yeah.
So you can fly above it. It doesn't go infinitely to the top of the skybox in every map. So like if you're an Echo or a Pharah, you can, in theory, hover above his little thing. It's not super high. I think they might need to buff that up a little bit. But but with no fall off, you can track a Pharah or an Echo or a Mercy and do good damage.
It's like, I'm looking at it this way. So I'm Ramatra, you're the enemy team. Because keep in mind, it also penetrates shields as well. So I'm Ramatra, I hold down the button. I'm approaching you, your health starts to go down. By the time I get to you, switch to Nemesis form,
Finish you
in
off.
the face.
Oh yeah.
So the Nemesis form is more of a finisher.
Does his thing actually go through shields?
I believe it does. Yeah,
His beam?
yeah. I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that in the demonstration video they put out.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a frightening prospect. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, if you're a support player and you get a Ramatra, play Ana, get Nano Boost, thank me later.
Yeah,
You'll
no,
It's really fun to watch. Just go crazy.
especially, yeah, you get into he's got a versatile thing. Again, he's not overly strong. I don't think he's going to be a super meta pick at high level. But I think he's
Hmm.
going to have you. I don't think so. I really don't. I think he'll have. I think he's going to be like a Sigma. I think he's going to be like a specific use case. He's
Okay.
very pokey, and that it's like maps where it's like you're going to have some distance to poke with that staff, but then
Yeah.
where there might be like mid map areas that are like brawly, because again that stance switch to that is, yeah, if you get right up, if you walk around a corner and end up in his face, it is pretty nasty. And then his ability to block can also saves him,
Yeah.
so it's not like he's just sitting there primal raging like a weaker primal rage.
Hmm.
So he can actually block damage too,
So,
which is nice.
so that's what you're saying, that he'll be more for corridors, that sort of thing.
I
Whereas,
think for the stance switch for sure.
okay, so let's look at Watchpoint Gibraltar, historically a dive-based map.
Mhm.
So, would you say he'd be good on Gibraltar? Just an example, because based on what you're
No.
saying, he'll be better in the corridor fights. So, if like Parisio B, for example, he'd be better on that one.
Yeah. Maybe,
Right, I'm with you. Yeah, just sort of get my
Um,
head around what you mean there.
yeah, he's also super punishable from behind. That's what somebody said.
Hmm.
That's it. If you can get behind
There's
him,
the
like
pro wrestler.
his stab and like all his stuff is so forward. Like, and when he's blocking, he's facing forward. Like, if you can get behind him and just burn him down, he does have a bit of a weak point there. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, dude, super fun. Shield is a nice little extra little bit of tech.
Which
His
can't be
ult,
moved, by the way.
yes, no, once it's up, it's up. And yeah, his ult is interesting. I didn't in the first day of play, I didn't get any like crazy ult plays because, like, again, like I said, you just avoid him.
Hmm.
And it's like, but if he catches you out guard, if he pops that and you're in the middle of like a close quarters fight, then it can combine that with the rest of your team doing damage, and
Yeah,
you can really do some work. But like, it's not a, I don't think it is a game changing
yeah. I mean,
ultimate.
I've been lucky that I've not really been caught up in Remarch's ultimate yet, but to me, it looks like he's a mobile graviton surge sort of thing. That's my
No, so
observation.
it doesn't draw you in. But it actually, what it does, I think it does slow you. It's kind of like
It's a
his
slowing
thing,
field, yeah.
and it does damage in addition to him swinging and punching, right, and all that stuff. So like,
Yeah.
if you get caught, it's harder to. It's kind of like Sojourn's disruptor field.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Just
a,
more
he's moving
mobile
around.
version.
Yeah, he's moving around with a disruptor field around him. So if you caught, it slows you down and it hurts you in addition to all his damage.
Right, I'm with you.
So, but again, so like just keep your distance from him, and you can punish him by poking him from far away. So, but it could turn the tide, like I said, in close quarters fights. I think it would be
Hmm.
like very cool. And but like you
Like
alluded
the
to,
Hotbar room, for example.
like the Hotba room on, yeah,
Thank me
I
later,
can see him.
Richard.
That could be a good map for him, maybe circuit, especially on point like the final point there.
Hmm.
Maybe,
Watch
I
as
don't
the
know.
meta becomes Ramatra comps all the way.
Could be, but I when we take a look at the patch notes, I think it's going to be somebody
Hmm.
else, as we've
Yeah. Shall we look at
off
those now,
discussed.
just for a laugh?
Uh, yes, we can. But before that, I did want to say, before we move on from that, because you can see it right behind him. Did you get a chance to play Shambhala Temple at all?
Not yet, no. I've not
Oh,
been
okay.
lucky in that regard. 'Cause
Well,
it's
go
escort,
into the
isn't it?
arcade. Go into the arcade.
Okay, I'll have a look
There,
when I get the chance.
at least yesterday, they had one of their modes was just Shambhala. You could just play it
Yeah, because it's a
ad
new escort
nauseum.
map, isn't it?
It is. It's cool. There are a lot. You want to talk about corridors? There are a ton of winding little passageways and poke points and like windows above doors and above passageways. There is a lot of like flankability on this map. It feels long too. It feels like a longer escort map than usual.
So what you're saying is it sounds like a Paul McCartney and John Lennon song. Long and Winding Road.
If I had my rim shot sound effect, I
The
would
best jokes are the
kick you.
ones you have to
I should
explain.
kick you out of the damn chat for that. Good lord.
You set yourself up for that one.
I did, I guess. But yeah, no, it does feel like there is a decent little wind around to the first point, and then after the first point, you go into a cave with the payload, and there's like almost like on Circuit Royale where you have to zigzag up that hill, like up and then up. There's a tighter version of that inside a cave. Like you go up and up really tight in a cave where there's again other tunnels leading in there. And then there's kind of a long point 3 to get to point the final checkpoint. But it is again, hats off to Blizzard. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous map to be sure.
Yeah.
The
I'll
art
see if
and
I get
design
lucky
team.
over the next few days.
Yeah. And like I said, usually for the first week, they want people to try the new stuff. So in arcade, they usually I remember they had it for Paraíso. Like you could just play Paraíso if you want to. So that's usually in arcade mode. But let's talk about what might be the meta. Let's talk about what might be the meta. Patch notes again. You've probably seen some content about this, but we'll go over it really quick. They've done a little bit of a tweak to the control overtime. Nothing too crazy. They've added player challenges for unlocking Junker Queen, Sojourn, and Kiriko if you were not part of Season 1. So they have extra challenges for that now.
So something they promised from the get-go anyway, so.
Yes. And they've if you don't want to do challenges, of course, there's monetization. They added a hero purchase tab, so you could just use those ducats of yours and just buy your way to the top, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So, polishes to UI, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Ramatra, of course, will not be available in competitive for the first 2 weeks. I like that change a lot for new heroes, and I think it's good. So starting off, and we won't go too in depth because there's other people who've done like full 30, 40-minute breakdowns on this, but DPS no longer has a movement speed bonus, which I think fair. I think that was probably not totally necessary, especially when you already had some pretty fast heroes. But then as a counterbalance, which I don't know if it was needed, reload speed is increased by 10% from 25 to 30% to 35% faster reload speed than any other role.
Yeah.
Which
I believe that only applies when you get a kill and only on the first kill, if I remember correctly. It's something along those lines. There's some sort of restriction on it.
Is that still the case? Yes, I do. I remember what you're talking about. They didn't specify here, but I assume since they didn't, that same rule does apply. Yeah, it's right. It's right after a pick, right?
Yeah, because I remember being in the practice range and just mucking about on Ash, and you do notice it after the first kill, but it's never really after that.
They don't say. I'll have to. I'm going to try it out in game myself. It says we've decided to remove increased movement speed from the damage roll, and in turn make the reload speed more significant. They're not saying anything about after a kill or anything like. So I would be curious to see if it is a just blanket faster reload speed, or if it is
or if it is
after the
when
kill.
They
still
changed the passive for the third time, they decided to give the ultimate recharge to everyone.
Right. Yep.
They did introduce the new damage roll passive, which was the speed bonus and the reload speed bonus after a kill.
Right.
So it's probably reflecting that.
Like I said, I'm gonna have to check it out. But if it's after the kill, it's not too bad. But if it's just blanket, that's pretty silly for that. That could be potentially very, very dangerous. So Ramatra, we already kind of went over his kit. He's got his primary fire, his nemesis form, his pummel, and his block, and then his nano ball, the ravenous vortex, and then his annihilation. So here's one of the big parts of the patch notes. Doomfist.
Yes.
Get ready for a very likely, if we were about to play pro play and go into Owl, Dante would be feeding. Whichever team he's going to be on. Oh, I'm sad. But yeah, Doom, which he needed. I think that's the funny thing. The funny thing is like Doom was kind of a wet noodle in the most recent patch. Like if you saw him in your ranked games, everyone was like, not a throw pick, but it was like, come on, like there's so many more stronger picks
Yeah.
and everything like
I'd say
that.
Winston if you wanted to go dive, or even Demon.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And it's kind of funny that like he definitely needed a boost. And now everyone's like, oh, especially support players, man, because I do get it. So briefly run it down. The Rocket Punch. Impact damage range increase from 15 to 30 to 25 to 50. It's a pretty nice range for the impact damage on the punch. The wall slam damage min max reduce from 20 to 40 to 10 to 30. So if you get hit by the punch and slammed into a wall, that causes a little bit less damage. So I guess a
Right.
little bit of a balance there.
I will admit I was getting confused by all these changes, so I'm glad you put it that way.
Yeah, I know. So because it was like empowered punch, non-empowered punch, wall slam punch, stun ability, like distance. He has a lot. His kit is very unique in this regard with this punch ability and everything like that. So yeah, so the amount of damage he can do over from the punch is a little bit bigger. The wall slam damage is a little bit smaller. The empowered rocket punch. So you're charged up punched or whatever. The stun duration is reduced, so it's a little bit shorter on the stun from the punch. But your non-empowered, this is actually key. This seems really small, but it's kind of key. Your non-empowered punch, so a punch that just regular Doomfist melee punch / like not fully charged punch, now stuns for a minimum of 0.25 seconds, which is quite frankly enough though.
Yeah.
That's off of a wall slam. So you knock a support, your automatic stun with any kind of punch. Somebody's getting stunned basically. And the empowered rocket punch has a knockback radius from 4 to 3. So they shrunk the little cone of knockback from the charged up punch. Minimum time to cancel is shorter, so you have to basically commit faster. Cooldown is reduced to 3 seconds. Again, 1 second. Oh, this has already been in the game apparently, but that makes a big difference. So I mean, you can come in, slam, punch. What was the thing? There was something to do with the
Seismic
slam.
slam?
I don't. It's not in here, but it was like. I remember somebody was talking about how the way you can combo this now is like you go and slam, punch. Oh no, because it's off of the meteor strike. That'll be in a minute. So power block is getting buffed too. Cooldown from 8 to 7 seconds, which is actually pretty big. Duration increased from 2 to 2.5 seconds. And minimum damage mitigated required to empower rocket punch reduced from 90 to 80. So now his rocket punch gets powered up way faster. Your cooldown is less, and it lasts longer for your power block. So that got a significant buff.
Yeah. So it's one of those abilities where since the Doomfist rework, it was going to be something they'll have to tweak over time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And now, so here's the big deal. Meteor Strike, which again was a super wet noodle of a finish. Didn't really do damage, didn't really do much. Now empowers your rocket punch upon landing. So the minute you land in that punch, in that Meteor Strike, you have a fully charged rocket punch, which now charges up faster and you can nail somebody. And it also slows down the increase. Slow is 2 to 3 seconds. So now for 3 seconds, any enemy caught in that Meteor Strike is slowed for 3 seconds. So, hi, Ana. Land, slow you down, charge up, bang into a wall, pop, pop, you're dead. And then seismic slam, I can get myself out of there really quick. So you are going to become a nasty backline destroyer. Absolutely silliness. And not only that, maximum temporary health increased from 150 to 200, and temporary health gain from target hit with abilities increased from 30 to 40. So he gets increased that temporary health as well as that HP gain from hitting people with ability. It's Doom is back, baby, ladies and gentlemen, and
Yeah.
watch out backline. That's all I'm gonna say. And I did play with him in just again in quick play stuff, and you can already tell his sustainability with his block and his cooldowns and everything is much better. I think in low mid ranks he's not going to be like destructive, but he will be far more viable. And then in the high ranks, I think he's going to be very picks a lot. Junker Queen got a changes, got burfed, mostly nerfed. They increased her torso and head hitbox by 12%. 12%. Her head and chest are now 12% bigger. Rampage got Rampage got kind of like an even. What do you mean making that what you will? The way it is, she's 12% easier to hit. Which is huge. Wound duration is reduced from 5 to 4.5 seconds on the Rampage, but the cost to get it is reduced by 10%, so kind of a wash there. Commanding Shout is reduced cooldown from 15 to 14, but the Shout is not crazy strong anymore, so it's not a big deal. The Adrenaline Rush passive, which is like the healing you get from bleed, which is like your knife and your throwing knife and your big axe. They increased that from 1 to 1.25%. It's a little bit of a buff, but again, considering the size of her hitbox now, and then like the damage reduced from like her, I don't think it's an even trade. So overall, I think Queen got nerfed.
Yeah, so because I'm looking at the developers' comments now, and they're basically saying that they've taken her team sustain and put it into her self sustain instead.
Sure,
that's all.
But
saying looks fit.
And then, but then they like made her big. I don't know. I think it's overall it's a nerf. It's a minor nerf though in general. Excuse me. Bastion got a buff. Bastion slowly becoming, I think, like low-key powerful and like a solid pick for DB. It's not a joke pick anymore. Other than his ultimate, which they do kind of change here. Speaking of which, his ultimate, the delay before his projectile drops reduced from 1 to 0.6 seconds. So between when you select where they're going to go and when it drops is about 50% or 40% to be exact faster, which is pretty crazy. Explosion damage is reduced though, so you're not like one clicking anybody. If you shoot right around yourself, you no longer take explosive damage. And the minimum delay between placing shots is reduced by 20%. So like you can click faster for his 3 targets, like click, click, click. And then his turret mode, his now new moving shield busting turret mode, the cooldown from 12 to 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds, you can flip into turret mode and just mow down. I've been mowing people down with this. Especially for people who are uncoordinated, it wipes out tank shields and supports who don't see it coming. Bastion's on the rise, folks.
I would say, as if he wasn't too much for menace in bronze and silver, he's going to be more.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, he was already like, for people who knew how to counter him in Overwatch 1, he wasn't a big threat, but like low elo Overwatch was he can be a menace.
And that's why I learned Sombra.
Sojourn got a nerf, but like kind of got buffed, which is ridiculous because she's been stupid, crazy strong. So they tried to take her one tap ability away, basically. So they you have a shorter time now from when you have a charged rail shot to use it. It used to be 8 seconds, now it's 5. That's a good change. So you have to use it quicker. You can't just like sit there with it for almost 10 seconds and keep like farming a tank and keeping it up. No, you have a little bit more of a urgency to use it. The fall off range is much shorter, from 70 to 40 meters is when the damage starts to fall off. And the multiplier is no longer double if you get like a headshot. It's now 1.5. Those are all, I think, generally good changes.
Yeah.
However, These last two are the ones you need to think about. Primary fire damage per projectile increased from 9 to 10. And remember how fast she shoots. It is like brrr. Each one of those now does one more damage for her primary fire. So her primary fire is more deadly now. And her overcharge charge rate, overclock charge rate, is 20% faster. So you might have a shorter delay or a shorter time to use your shot, but you will get it 20% faster.
Which is frightening.
That is very frightening. So she does more damage as she charges, and she charges faster. Even though the long range stuff all got nerfed a bit, she can still slide around and boom, 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 and like take people out. Really, she's still incredibly, incredibly dangerous, and I still think a must pick at high level.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, not going to belabor too much. Symmetra got a little bit of a buff, nothing too crazy. Tracer got a simple buff, but damage goes from 5 to 6 per shot, which is small, but with the way Tracer moves, very significant. I think we'll see a lot more of her in high level play. Ana got a little bit of a buff. Cooldown's lower on Sleep Dart. Kiriko got a significant nerf, but probably a necessary one, especially to her Kitsune Rush. Now, it's increased cost is up by 10. The movement speed, like how fast you did it to shoot and reload and all that stuff, used to be 50. Now it's 30%. And your cooldown speed is only double, not triple.
Yeah. So that's a nice healthy change.
Yeah, I think because I used it, still a good ultimate in certain fights, but it is not like we are building everything to the Kitsune Rush and then unloading. It's not a total like we're just waiting to like Kitsune Rush each other like we saw in Overwatch League last year. So
yeah, even though Kitsune Rush plus Death Blossom was one of the most gorgeous things I've ever watched.
Oh yeah, it's a hell of a deal. And then Mercy gets a faster weapon swap and gets a little bit more ammo, but holy crap. I'm just saying.
Are you implying that Mercy has a gun?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm
How
just
many
saying.
people actually remember that?
Supports need some love, especially after these Doomfish changes and these Sojourn changes. Supports are going to need some love in a mid-season patch, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say about that one. But otherwise, I think the new map looks cool. The new hero looks cool. I think there's good things overall. I think the battle pass is good for this season. I mean, I'm curious to see the what is it? The Battle of Olympus?
Oh, the event, yeah.
Yeah, the limited time mode coming in January. That's interesting. And I'm curious to see how and in which ways they're going to incorporate our lovely Winter Wonderland event.
Oh.
Where's Winter Wonderland? We want the skins that we're going to have to pay $25 for.
Now, be realistic, it'll be $24.99.
That's true. You're not paying $25. You're paying $24.99. Before we go though, so what parts about season 2 are you looking forward to the most as we go on?
People getting better at Umatra for a kickoff. Because initial thoughts are obviously we've only just got him, so he's fun to play now. Imagine when players actually get a bit more practice. That I think is going to be the interesting factor.
I want to see how, like, we talked all the stuff we talked about. I'm like, I think he's good. I think he's fun. I don't think he's crazy strong, but I can't wait to see more footage and stuff of OWL players and just like super high level players using him. I want to see what his ceiling is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a case of he really makes the game feel different now because you just get so used to playing with a Reinhardt, a Zarya, and all the rest of them. So to have something completely off kilt with what they've done before as your tank, it just changed the game big time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because Junker Queen, she still fit the old school tank design of slow and sort of get into position, things like that. Remarch is like, nice, you've left me some space. Here I come.
More or less. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see too, like when will contenders play on this patch? So like maybe contenders, because we still don't know when Owl's going to start for 2023. So like we might get a little bit of an early preview of either some Doomfist stuff, or maybe Ramatra has some fun to see him in some high level pro play. So could look at him maybe in some tier 2 stuff. So you never know.
Mm.
You never know.
Mm.
That's for damn sure. But if you want to hear about any of it, do us a favor, folks. Like, subscribe, hit all those buttons down below. We're going to have next week, I will be out of town, so we'll be off, but we do actually have some topics, in a off season that is often pretty dry. I do just want to let you know some of the things we're going to be talking about. I want to talk about some more stuff about Calling All Heroes. We're going to talk about the finals of that, which is coming up soon, as well as some of the Owl teams getting involved, good, bad, and the in-betweens and everything. I want to talk more about season 2 and how it progresses and ranked and everything like that. Obviously, roster moves. Everybody's a free agent. They've moved a lot of the things back, the timeline back, which is kind of disappointing. We're going to talk more about that, and especially as that relates to the situation in China and NetEase and what is going to get where. I'm sure Richard will have a lot of opinions on that as well. So look out for those episodes coming forward. But until next time, folks, I am the Dramatra Matt King Rat King. I don't know.
You'll get there in the end, folks. Don't worry.
One of these days. He is Plexomatic across the pond. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment down below. What do you think of the new hero Ramatra? And we will see you on the next one.
Bye.